I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Clear Creek Community Services District. It is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026 at 6 p.m. If you all stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have a couple of board members that are out medically, so we've got a short crew today. And we'll start with roll call here.
Logan Johnston.
Beverly Fickus.
Scott McVeigh.
Dale Mancino.
Emily King.
We currently have open time before we go into closed session, so pursuant to Government Code 54950, persons wishing to address the Board of Directors on matters not listed on the agenda can either notify the secretary, or if you'd like to go to the podium and speak, now is your time to do so.
All right, Chris Gelsman here. I was just going to give you an update on the dilapidated building by the community center down there. Harry reached out to me several months ago, and so I went to code enforcement and resource management, and they had ARPA funds, which is COVID relief money funds that they had available to tear it down and get rid of it. When Frank Muse owned it, he wanted to get it torn down, he wanted to tear it down, but they wanted a demolition permit and everything else, so he didn't do that. But the new owners, they contacted him, they don't want it torn down. So I reported back to Harry that they don't want the building torn down. He couldn't believe it, but he just informed me that he reached out to them and they said, yeah, they don't want it torn down. So if you guys want that building torn down, now's the time to start turning it into code enforcement. So it's quite the eyesore, and I don't know if it's homeless in there or not, but it's an eyesore, and it's probably a threat for fire and everything else.
Yeah, safety hazard.
Yeah. So that's my.
Okay.
Thank you,
you.
District 5 Supervisor.
So the other property in question on Olinda, a few of us put in complaints, the McCain property, and they're finally cleaning that up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, well, it's still kind of a crime scene, so that's probably why it's a little time.
Yeah, so, okay.
Sandy Wieners is not here, she normally is, and there is a Fireways meeting, the first one of the year, a week from Thursday at the community center, 6 p.m. That's February 26th, I believe.
So Dennis, I just saw you pop in. Was there anything on the open time that you needed to report on? No? Okay. We do have legal counsel with us tonight, so we are going immediately into a closed session hearing or meeting, and it shouldn't be more than probably 10 minutes. So public employee discussion, Government Code 54957 and 54957.6. The board will meet in closed session with legal counsel to conduct a performance review of the general manager. So we will be back and report on that in just a few minutes. So we'll adjourn to the closed session.
At 6:05. 6:05.
She already got it.
Let's go ahead and turn the mic off.
Oh, pause it or whatever.
Pause, yeah, something.
This is Gretchen.
Hi, Gretchen. Hello.
We're gonna head
okay.
into the room, we can do the introductions there. We shall return.
No talking about us while we're talking.
That's recording. How are you? Good. Here, give a grant. Oh, okay, good.
So if enough people complain about the building, there's still a possibility?
Sure. I mean, if you determine the code enforcement, because there's all sorts of code violations there.
Well, that's why I'm just surprised, it's just a hazard and danger.
Yeah.
This code enforcement money.
Slowly getting torn down.
Right.
One board at a time.
Oh, is that happening?
Well, code enforcement is complaint driven now, and that was one of the things that I pushed for, because they used to look at satellite photos and see, oh, this guy put an addition on his house and they get a permit, and they go out there. And it's like, that's not, you shouldn't be going after honest homeowners.
Mhm.
So now if there's a complaint, they go investigate, but otherwise they don't go around the neighborhood looking for somebody putting siding on or new windows or some other ridiculous thing.
I just
Whatever.
put a complaint in.
Yeah.
one on the Lemon Road that people camped out there.
Oh, perfect.
Huge eyesore,
Yeah.
huge. You know what that does to our property?
It just gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
What is the property owner, is he aware they're out there?
I don't, I've never went up there and introduced myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't look like up and coming people.
Okay.
But I think the owners live on Irma. If you go down there, there's a commune down there. And I think there's about traders in there, and I think one of those people actually own the built that land that they're on.
Okay, so there's people living in camp trailers?
Yeah.
Okay, that's against code. You can't even turn them in for that.
Yeah.
They're living in camp trailers. I mean, be specific. I mean,
They're living in a camp trailer right on the road. But the problem is, a huge problem is, I see they have water, and I don't know where they're getting it.
Yeah.
Because they had a garden last year.
I was wondering that.
But I know they don't have a septic tank.
Yeah.
And I know that it's going right over the hill, the groundwater.
Yeah.
And they have 3 campers on that property.
Yeah.
And a
Right,
couple, and a couple,
right tight together.
yeah, and a couple of non-running cars. They also have an area, it's probably 16 by 16, and they got 10 around it, and it's overheaping
With garbage, yeah.
you know, it just got huge.
It was up in the garden, that first one was full, and now it's heating.
Yeah, well, it keeps tilting, I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
like compost.
Yeah. Compost, yeah.
I did pick it up the road in front of us, I have a lot of garbage that blows out across the road and gets hung up on the fence. And the rains stopped me, but I got almost to their place.
yeah, Fairman Code Enforcement and the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So there's 2,000 problem properties in this county, and one call isn't going to do it. So, but and then be specific too. So like, a bunch of junking, broke down cars. Yeah, it's junkyard conditions. That's fine, but living in a camp trailer is illegal. The only time you can do that is if you have an active permit on the property that you're building a house or something. You need a camp trailer. Otherwise, you can't do that. So that's definitely a violation.
Have they changed the law about these cargo containers?
Yes.
They have changed it,
Mm-hmm.
so they're legal now?
Yes, they have to be a neutral color. They have to be behind the house. It's offset behind the house, and there's some specifications, and then you can only have so many. I think you can have 1 on an acre or less. You can have like 2 on 5 acres, and then you can have up to 3 on 10 acres.
I
or
think
more.
those are okay standards.
Well, they are, but you know what? They're all, we had a lady come down when we had that. We had people that thought they were ugly, but then we had a lady come down from Whitmore area, Oak Run, and she said, "Thank you for legalizing me." She says, "I was about to move out of this state." She goes, "Because I've been ripped off 3 or 4 times. I have no way of locking all my stuff up, but now you're giving me the ability to lock my stuff up so that it's secure and waterproof."
The problem is, if they're in a fire, everything in it turns to cinders.
So does your gun safe.
Yeah.
I mean, so don't have a fire on it.
I mean, I had a friend out in Drums Valley a few years ago, he had a car in there, 2 cars in one of those containers. And the fire was quite a ways away, but it fried those cars.
Well, have you ever seen a gun safe after a house fire?
Yeah.
No,
They're all melted. Yeah, all the wood's burned off and they're all melted. You open up the door, they're all melted and ruined. So, yeah, fire's not a good thing, Harry.
And the gun stock will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
The ammo explodes, the stock, anything to do with it's gone.
my gun says half full of shells,
Oh, yeah.
30-06 and shotgun shells, 22s, 38s. They'll probably go off, but I don't think I'll ever have a fire. I'm pretty, I'm 100 feet from any brush.
Yeah, there are some of those, box containers right along the road. I know somebody just stepped into one.
Well, there's deputies, the Emerson cop lives along the road.
Yeah,
He's got one set pretty close to the road.
Well, they're supposed to be behind the house, so you can turn that into code enforcement too.
You know, he said, I live there, and I asked him, I said, what are you doing on that shed there? But that's when they were illegal,
yeah.
and he said, well, I'm working on my house, and I'm keeping my tools, and I said, okay, and I know that's illegal. But, I asked him, I said, do you work, or you're just a typical Acting Valley person? And he says, no, I work, I'm a cop, I'm Anderson.
No,
And he says, I work undercover, and I look around, I said, well, you sure? I don't want to do that.
We're hearing stories from Harry.
Good. But he's got one eye on the road.
who's that guy that cutting all the brush up right along?
Caitlin left,
So
and it's still Caitlin.
He's looking at the tree.
Yeah.
I saw that. So he said it more.
I know, he's got,
Like fire.
that
How do
guy
you turn back on?
is a young guy that lives there, driving.
We're gonna reconvene to our regular session, and the time is 6:12. We have, under the closed session, we have no reportable action. Consent agenda, so we have minutes from the meeting of January 21st, our bills paid, and activities P&L report. Any questions on any of that?
I did not.
This is very minor, but my name is misspelled 3 times
What?
in the minutes.
Did it not get the stun?
No, it did. It did not get the H. Yep. So let's
Well,
see.
get the
Item
H out of
4. Yeah, get the H. Item 3, item 4, and item 5.
Oh,
They
yeah.
get-
See that?
I didn't catch that when I read it.
I don't know how I did, but it popped going through. So anyway, that is all. That's all I
It's
have.
not
Very
Johnston?
It's not Onston.
I had just one question on profit and loss.
Sure.
Oh, the P&L?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my only question, if we look at distribution, which is on page 1,
Yep.
40,000 down at the bottom. The water quality analysis for 4440. What water quality analysis does distribution do? I was just
I
curious.
think they started pulling samples from the wells. I think that's something
Oh,
that
the well,
we
okay,
Also
took
be
from
any
treatment
breaks.
and put on distribution. That was recent.
okay.
Would include breaks also, correct?
Yes,
So,
you have to do back T samples.
right.
Okay.
The only thing I had on the January one was the need to be a little more accurate on the bottom line. We're
Yep.
actually, we've still got the grant money thrown in there, and that should be a separate project and not be reflected into the monthly P&L and whatnot. So if we do that and take that all out, including, and I did a quick look at the fact that we received 255,000 plus
Yes.
in the property tax.
Yep.
So if we pretend that didn't come in, then instead of a minus 75,000, we're actually a positive 11,500. But since it is property tax from the county, we would, as an anomaly, have an actual positive over $267,000. Okay?
Yep.
And I don't necessarily like it being shown in there, but it is income, and I understand that, but it kind of skews things.
Okay. Get that taken care of.
So can I have an action on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Grant consultation update discussion. Jim?
Turn this on.
Movies, who's paying for movies around here?
Man, God,
Anaconda?
I love that movie.
So handy gadgets, let's see if this works. Was working when I got there.
It was, I saw it.
Try some-
Yay, technology.
Mhm. Pretty sure it was 3.
It went black.
There you
Oh,
go.
there it is that it?
All
That's
right.
different.
And it should. Everybody see it okay over here?
Yeah.
Okay, I tried to be out of the way here.
Yeah.
This should show up.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry. One of those dad sneezes.
Hmm. That's weird, because on this, there we go.
Oh.
Well, maybe it just didn't. Yeah, I'm so sorry, you guys. I do have a cord I can try if you guys don't mind. waiting.
Your Wi-Fi not working?
No. We can
this
move, we can move on while you're figuring it out. You wanna do that?
It's totally up to you.
Okay, yeah, just work on it.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry.
There's a USB hanging down behind this.
Yeah, that one's just,
Oh.
it's a difference of white.
You wanna move on to number 6?
Yeah, we're gonna move on to the Mid-Pacific Water Users Conference report. So I attended the Mid-Pacific Waters Conference at the end of January. The weather held out, so the driving was great over to Reno. So there was I just gave some highlights of what happened over there, so hopefully everybody read that. They gave an update on Klamath River. Dennis, this would have been right up your alley with this meeting. Because what they did was they were talking about how the forests actually impact water because it's, retains it, or that some of the trees like cedars actually absorb too much water. So thinning of the trees help get the water back up. And so then they were also talking about how the fish also interact with, with the farmers. And there was a study done on Tuolumne, San Joaquin, and they came to the determination that it's not habitat that is killing the salmon, it's actually the bass. The bass are eating all of the little salmonoids. Bass,
Striped bass.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so less than 1% of the salmon from the North State actually make it to the ocean. And so that was kind of interesting. And so they're looking at what can we do to limit the bass? And it's, they were talking about how Oregon has an unlimited, you got it up. They have an unlimited, limit, on bass.
Yeah.
And also if you catch one, you can't release it. It's catch it, you keep it. So they don't want you to catch it and release it back in, which would be no cost to anybody by doing that, trying to limit the number of bass in the lakes or in the rivers. Very, very good overall. If there's an agenda back there with that, I have my notes in there in regards to the conference. One of the things that I did do also was I walked around all of the vendors that were there, and one of the vendors was a solar company, and I don't know if you've had a chance to reach out to them.
I did.
So is it sad news?
No, they still haven't got back to me,
Okay,
but I reached out to them.
they put solar on canals. They're floating on top of the canals for solar, and it was like, we have ponds. Can we do that? And they do it like some of the solar companies used to do, where there's no charge for them to put the solar in. They just charge a couple of cents difference between what PG&E and your savings would be, so that it's a win-win. Costs nothing. Now, they did say there might be a cost for a study or something of that nature, so that might be the sticking point. That might not be, but it was just like, so this was just like, wow, this is a good opportunity. So, and then they also had some other things that they had, but they wouldn't give us a commitment on the water allocations, just because the end of January was such a dry year. But hopefully this new water event that we're having, they'll give us a full allocations. So,
Did
okay.
they have anything, and I thought I heard from you that they had somebody with electric generation also?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
this was,
Hydro.
yeah, this was the solar guy. They also have these little solar pumps that they could actually put in the pipes to generate electricity. It was only like this big, is all it was. So that was another thing yeah. Yeah, that was, very, very interesting. You need to go to those. They're really,
Yeah, that'd be nice.
they're really,
Sometime.
yeah, they're really, it's a very wonderful conference all the way around. So, okay, we are gonna go back to number 5, grant consultation update.
All right, thank you so much. Got the technology guru. All right, so I sent over a link earlier today that Dale should be able to forward to the board, that it will have all of the grant activity reports for every month. This way the board's kept informed on the latest. So we had a pretty significant meeting in December with the state, because what we're trying to do is update the safer dashboard, which is going to be critical to be able to get some, 100% grants, or even some forgivable kind of grants. And it turns out that we're still considered not at risk despite the eligible criteria. And I think what they're really trying to say is they're looking for straight up violations, which we don't have, like near red tag type of stuff, and like failed systems, which we're not. Now we have a lot of aged infrastructure. We have affordability type of constraints. And so while we sent over some of the justification for the affordability side, which is an eligible criteria, they still see it as it's not high enough risk. So from a program management perspective, they're picking the districts that are just the worst. And so that usually happens when there's not a lot of money to go around, so they just raise it to a higher priority type of project. So we're not quite there at that threshold, which means it's a pivot strategy needs to take place, because we can't just sit around and just wait for them to open up their rules and more funding. The federal side, a lot of times the state's a pass-through agency for federal money, and there's been a lot of problems and holdups with federal money. So there's not a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of funding that's still waiting to come out. It should have came out in January, and there's a lot of funding rounds have not been funded yet. So a lot of those pass-throughs are not available as options.
Can I interrupt? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Touching base on this not at risk, can you give us an idea of the things we need to do? Because I see us at risk.
I know.
Our water treatment plant, it was done almost 30 years ago. We know there are pinhole leaks under some of the pipes, and that means the majority of the inside of the pipe is shot. We know that the 1-million-gallon tank there is at risk of
That's
failure.
not a risk. It actually
So, there's a number of things there that are really at risk.
To answer that question, some of the keys to put you at risk would be violations of like the maximum contaminant levels or high arsenic, those type of things that's within the water that you can't distribute to the public. So it's not really infrastructure unless it's a complete failure where we couldn't actually get water to the public.
I did a pretty deep dive on the eligibility criteria, and I put together a whole package of, documents basically explaining why we are eligible.
Mhm.
But it's now a selective, higher priority. So
Yeah.
even though we're eligible, there's still no love for us. And
Right.
so that created, while we were hopeful that they would have a change of heart, with us, but it's not the case. And so we have to try a different strategy. It doesn't mean we're not gonna go after grants. It just means we shouldn't count on them. And so, we have, an interesting luck with some breaks. And I think we've had less than we should normally around this time.
Yeah,
So
we're
kinda
sitting
lucky.
pretty as far as major breaks. This time last year, there was 10 times more than what we're experiencing now. So that's good for us at the time being, time being.
But there's still some projects to do right now. And so I just
Yes.
want to go through some of those. So for that strategic context, I just want to explain why we're here, talking about a pivot strategy versus, hey, we got a grant that we're looking at. We can still, as part of my retainer, I still have one grant that I do for you guys. And I've already told you verbally that I'm going to do more than just one grant because a lot of the work is just redone, and repackaged. So we have to figure out, the board has to decide which project we're gonna go after and just kind of put that as a priority. But we do have some strategies to go over tonight, just so that the board's informed on everything that we're facing today. And so, definitely want to put together a formal capital plan, because that's kind of one of the things that's needed right now is that formal planning and just kind of direction from the board on what the projects are going to look like. And of course, the financial strategy and we have Prop 218 coming up, and the 218 needs to be informed by a capital plan. So anyway, I've got some action plans and next steps, some of my recommendations. So some strategic things here. Again, we're not a at-risk status, and in order to keep solvent, keep in operation, not bleed out on some of these things, there are some key projects that we can attack right now, and we need to get some estimates and things on that, but we should be able to control what we can at this point. And so while the grant funding right now is, I would say, considered unpredictable, it doesn't mean that the doors are all shut. It just means we're going to really have to earn it with the SAFER. And when we met with SAFER, Dale and I, one of the managers there said that he has been here, I don't know, 28 years, something like that. He's never seen a SAFER project funded. So that didn't sound very encouraging.
Right.
Either people are doing it wrong or there's just something else wrong program-wise. So knowing that should help the board kind of make some decisions here of what I want to go over. But I just really want to emphasize proactive planning at this point. And we have that perfect storm that I kind of mentioned before, that we've got the 218 and that's the main focus right now. And we got to be transparent about all of the actions that we want to do. So while we can still pitch for visibility with the state and try to ask for some grant love, it's not going to be the main thing that we're going after.
Can I ask then, if you're just going through SAFER, does that encompass the Safe Drinking Water Act and the Department of Water Resources? So are we being shut out of them also?
There's different buckets, and there's actually there are some planning grants that we can go after, and that's what I want to try to do is after I go through the slides, I want to kind of show some things that we can do now, and then put together a more formal plan that hopefully, ideally this spring, which is kind of there, we can have a formal CIP, because that's going to be needed for your 218 study. And not to jump ahead too quickly, but even though I'm gonna have some recommendations on, we still need to move forward on some of these projects as if we're financing it. If a grant happens, it'll definitely change the picture there. But there are some recommendations of what would happen if that did occur. So we're going to continue to pursue grants opportunistically. So we're gonna still keep doing it. But I just want to make sure that, we're looking at all the grants and we're making some strategic decisions on those grants. And the financial credibility of the district is one of the things I want to highlight. So we've got, I think you finished the 2023 audit, we're working on 24. It's
Yeah.
really important that we finish those audits because if you're going to get into that financing realm, you want to have really clean books. And I mean, they're going to be looking at a lot of things. So, and they're looking for consistency. So what I'm trying to do is position the district to try to focus on those things there because that's going to open doors for the district when things happen. Because there are still going to be, if you get a grant, there could be a 50% match, which means you still have to finance it. So that's a highlight I think we need to look at is getting the bookkeeping squared away with some technical experts. I think Shireen is working on a lot of things, and I just think that a little bit extra horsepower at a critical time is probably a really important move at this point. So back to the capital planning, some immediate priorities. So again, that financial integrity, reconcile and correct all the financial records, and it sounds easier than it actually is. But some of the monthly statements, they just need to be accurate and timely. Those audits need to be caught up, and your aging reports all caught up as well. You could hire a municipal water bookkeeper or J.R. Martin, which we've used, and they've got some really good help. I'm not sure if you guys still use them today.
We're not currently using that.
Okay, that could be an option, or just do an RFP for those services, but we need to get some costs on what that would take to kind of get the books ready to go. I don't personally know what that looks like, but I'd be happy to come in and kind of show, what I've done in the past to get ready for financing any sort of project. And that'll help enable that credit decision making. So adopting a realistic capital plan. So ideally you need a 5-year capital plan. I think, we were looking at some projects for 3 years. I think at least get 3 years, and then, some of these out years, you can define as you get those estimates on what those, it's going to take PACE engineering to come to the table and help out with some of the engineering estimates and some of the sequencing, but you can pursue some planning grants, some environmental grants, because if you do not pursue those environmental grants, you're going to have to front load those, and sometimes you can get reimbursed. It just depends on the program. You can get reimbursed in a construction grant. So, but putting a formal plan together that's going to have a cost, a tangible cost, and you can have a project fee. I'll go into, some ideas about that, because ideally we don't want any project fees. We want to ideally get 100% grant funds, but we already know we're probably not going to be facing any sort of 100% grants. Now, that's never stopped me in the past from getting 100% funding elsewhere. Some impossible things can take place, but I just want to position the district in a spot where you're moving forward with these projects, and you're not bleeding out on operational costs. And I'm still going to get into some of these other recommended projects and actions while we wait for some of the CIP, the capital improvement plan projects to come together. But the 5-year plan is going to be a focus, and then some, avoid some aspirational things. I mean, it's got to be realistic. I think we need to go, I'll leave it to Dale and the board on what you want to do as far as priority, but we know that there's a lot of projects. There's no shortage to choose from. But, having something that, again, is board adopted, ideally by the spring. I'm trying to, push this, recommend that this push through pretty soon. So that's going to take some discussion with PACE Engineering soon, because you want to get that 218 informed so that you can develop any necessary rates. Now, there are some other projects that can be done right now that would be a district wing, if you will. So we know that there's high pressure here in this district, and that's just how it's designed, and it's really interesting. But the new asbestos pipe can handle that kind of pressure, and we're 30 years or more on a lot of these pipes, and they're showing. So some of the strategic things are putting some rather large pressure reducing valves. Did I say it right?
Yeah,
So if we can shift to putting maybe one strategic pressure reducing valve in, it'll have a high impact on this district. And so that is going to encompass some loss of service, obviously, and depending on where it's going to be, it's going to be a significant one. But it will have some immediate district-wide benefits, and that is something that should be looked at this point. We do need to continue to get estimates because these larger ones are probably not an in-house project. But we want to, the objective here too is to kind of build some confidence back in our ratepayers that, we are proactive. We are reacting, but we're also this board is taking a proactive approach on the future. So again, contractor versus in-house execution. So we have some major valve replacements that are needed as well. So when you have this PRV, let's assume the district does move forward with PRV. They're already shutting down, right? Maybe now's a good time to go in and do some valves. So maybe the contractor can handle a major PRV. Meanwhile, the in-house staff are working on some of these other valves that are going to be strategic. So when a break does happen, now you're minimizing impacts. So that's just a recommendation, at this point, while we're putting together some of these plans for the future, the larger and multi-phased projects. So again, a split approach maybe is probably the option here. We do need to get some estimates from PACE on some of these larger ones. And there still could be some ways we could in-house reduce costs, whether we do the traffic control or maybe not. You guys will know better. Now the 218 study, need to be solvent here, and it's going to be the crux of the issue here, because when we talk projects, people are going to be looking for their torches and pitchforks. And so what we need to do is just make sure that we're transparent about the projects that we're pursuing and why, and what we're doing to minimize those. Because no action is not a solution.
Okay.
And so we want to reduce those impacts in the summertime and other times throughout the year. So I think the 218 study, we have to look at that CIP, like I mentioned, any sort of financing that's going to be required, and just move forward assuming that you're going to finance low interest, and again, continue to look at your reserve needs. And this is going to involve that transparent communication with the ratepayers. But so here's the approach for something like this: is you have your project fee, and it's going to be non-refundable. So if a grant does come in, then you terminate that fee for the future, and then it doesn't go retroactive back, it doesn't credit, but you apply it to the next project. So this way you're not creating a lot of burden on the paperwork with staff and crediting people back for project fees, and so there's a way to do that, and that's what needs to be looked at, is to put together the fees based on the project estimates and maybe some value engineering, which means, okay, you want a lot of things, maybe we do the bare minimum and then get a project fee together. There's another way you can do it too, is you can do a base bid and then alternates. So if funding does come in, you can do it all, but if only a little bit comes in, at least you can move forward with something. So again, that'll lead to more project phasing, and it'll increase the cost of the project over time, but it still gets you a project funded and accomplished. But again, apply that to the next project, and then what this will do is it'll maintain project progress and avoid backtracking. So again, that financial readiness is actually a critical component here. And no matter, what we do, that needs to get kind of looked at and corrected. And I just think it's worth looking at, what would it take to throw a little bit extra horsepower, knock out those audits, and so get caught up with all the bookkeeping, those reports. And when I was here as an interim, it was very tedious, it was very time consuming, and we just need to, I recommend that we look at some estimates to see if we can speed that up, because time is going to be everything when it comes to, summers and grant cycles and whether or not you can move forward with the project environmentally in a certain season. But again, in a lot of these projects too, you have to, if it's a really large project, you'll have to do biological surveys throughout the entire year before you can even do a project. So you have to see what birds and frogs are there all season. So environmentally, you could be constrained as well. So it's one of those things that PACE can help put together a sequential project and some good estimates. And then you can take that, you can approach it, look at some of the financing. They're going to be diving into your books. There's a lot of articles about the district already about the bookkeeping things, and so I think it's important right now to look at just resolving those issues soon, and then just having shovel-ready projects that you can go to financing with. And again, the USDA, in my opinion, is going to be the primary capital partner here. It's just, there's a lot of money there. It's a lot more forgiving. It's an easier application. You could get some pretty easy wins, I think, with some planning grants and environmental grants before you get into the major construction ones. So, that'll be a focus that I'm going to be looking at just for a good time towards something. And so as far as the next steps, again, reconcile the books and just have, USDA grade bookkeeping. With that, some examples of that are, just making sure the balance sheets, cash flow summaries are good. Operating revenue are clear. The expenses are really clear. Capital expenses, any debt service, reserves. Are you going to have capital project reserves? You need a good snapshot and a good outlook, and you need some consistency before they can look at that. So the sooner the better on that. And again, the planning side, draft and adopt a 5-year capital improvement plan. So sitting with PACE and just putting that plan together with those estimates will give you a better understanding of what these project fees may look like. And if for some reason, if it looks like, hey, we can't move forward, that's going to be too burdensome, then we got to get creative and we got to look at other things, because we have to be sensitive to that. And, that challenges me because, ideally you do not want to have any project fees whatsoever. And so that doesn't mean we're going to give up with the safer, doesn't mean we're not going to still bring visibility to the district and keep doing that, or maybe new information will happen and we'll just have to be quick with that. But, I think we do stay aggressive with the grants, but I just want to prepare this district that if the grants don't come through, that there's still some forward progress and then we're not having some catastrophic situation that could be avoided. Again, plan as if the grants aren't coming in. When they do come in, you just shift and then use the project fees that are already accrued on the next project. So again, the anchor project is like the PRVs. The treatment plant has valves and piping that are needed, obviously train 6.2, but there's going to be a priority. Dale's going to know what's more important on that. And then distribution, I think the PRVs and some valves, and there's some other small things that I think in-house that can be done. But putting that plan together and controlling some of those impacts, doing it before the summertime, where you're not burdening people too much with the loss of water. But and again, with these anchor projects, getting those quotes now, once we kind of figure out, okay, what do we have available? And I haven't seen the budget, but if you have some money that is available, you could start looking at those projects that you can tackle in-house at a minimum, and maybe that contractor. So PACE will have to put together a bid project, or a project that'll have to go out to bid, for anything large, like that major PRV. I mean, I think the PRV itself is 50,000, maybe. So with the design, labor, and you gotta remember the labor is, prevailing wage, the inspection fees, and so I think, that's gonna be a pretty significant project, but, try to use that time, in your favor to get some of these other smaller things done. Initial studies, are gonna be, or initiate studies, I'm so sorry, I don't have my glasses, and schedule implementation before summer, so obviously we wanna have the lower impact seasons. And then confirm USDA eligibilities, submit strategic grants. I think as far as the eligibility, I'm mainly looking at the financial readiness, and, I'd like to come in and talk with Shireen and Dale and just see how close we are with that. And then maybe, if you have a little bit of money, you can throw that at a technical bookkeeper out there. All right, so key takeaways and next steps to establish financial credibility is to, make sure you have reliable financials for all our future actions. Deliver a visible infrastructure win, which is kind of those the valves and the PRVs. That hopefully will build some trust with the ratepayers here. That we're doing some things that we know it's going to be a while before we get to those big projects. So to minimize those impacts, we're going to try to move forward on some of those smaller projects that we can control. Now the rates, so again, the rates and stuff can only be put together once the CIP is there, and when you have your assumptions on what the financial match is going to be, and so we'll really want to press the CIP portion here and the sequencing, and then we'll, moving forward as if the grants aren't going to come. When they do come, the grants will be an upside, but it's not the plan. We are going to be pursuing these as a bonus. So that's my presentation based on that meeting with the state. It was a little upsetting because even though we are, according to so many standards, eligible, we're just not high enough priority. And, with the information that this is, these projects haven't been funded in the last 28 years here locally in the region, the Waiting region, it's kind of concerning. So I'm a little surprised by that. But, I think the safer thing, I think we'll continue to update the dashboard, make sure that the accounts are right, the income's right. We even got a question like, why are you asking to do an MHI study, median home income? And it is an eligibility thing, and so I was a little surprised why I was even asked in the first place. And they're required every 5 years. So, I kind of wonder why the state isn't understanding of some of their own criteria. But it's, we don't want to make enemies. I think what we want to do is just keep visibility, keep positive, find every excuse to call them and just kind of ask them questions and just stay and positive working relationship with them. And maybe a question will come up where we can have some sort of strategy. But, I do think that we do put in an application anyway. That way we can say we applied. And so, in anything that I do for the district, will be saved so they can be reused. And, we'll just keep going after other grants. I know when I had talked with the county about using them as a pass-through, it wasn't very attractive because all the risk is on the county. And, for them to get the grant and be a pass-through agency. So, and there was also, as far as administration, they didn't know who it was in the county that was the administrator for the CDBG. So the director of public works had to reach out to the state to find out who that was. But I don't know if anything has changed there. I don't know if it needs a little nudge, but I would not rely on it because again, it still puts the risk on the county for a water district that, I don't know if they're willing to do that, take the risk with us. Because if we don't pay the contractor, they're attached to it. So, but that's not the only thing that's out there. And, I do have a short list of some other ones that look really good, and I'll share that with Dale. But I really think the capital improvement plan for the 218 should go soon.
That's the plan.
Any questions?
Not for
No.
me. It's,
You?
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's not the ideal thing. You want to have all these wins and grants and things, but it's an interesting climate right now.
I actually have one question towards them. Any of our isolation valves most of them, because they weren't exercised, were frozen open. Okay, with you. Is it possible to rebuild any of them instead of just having to replace?
Depending on what type they are, I've rebuilt some in the past, but those were specific kinds to those districts, so I would have to see
I
them.
understand.
Some of them you can buy like, packing and stems and all that.
Right.
Usually not though.
Okay,
It's usually best just to replace it.
I understand.
So I had one question. A CIP is going to take months to complete. It's not going to be next month. And
You mean
there,
as far as the plans or the actual project itself?
the plan, the capital improvement plan,
Right.
Yes.
it takes a few months. So you don't have a few months in order to try to get this Prop 218, a few months, but you may not have it by then. So the Prop 218 committee may just have to do a Prop 218 for only 1 year and not a 5-year span or a
That's
2
what we're thinking.
or
Yeah.
a 2-year span, because there's no way that you're gonna have that capital improvement plan in time. I don't believe, I mean,
That depends on the magnitude of the CIP.
Right.
If it's a major thing where we have to get actual plans and all that, yes, it could potentially take months. But if it's something small that we can do in-house, like say putting a PRB in on a smaller line, that's something that we could do with the funds we have available
okay.
and get done.
I guess it's my interpretation of what a capital improvement plan is. I was thinking it was for everything.
Yeah,
Everything,
capital.
yes.
Yeah, you're looking at a 5-year. You're
Yeah,
thinking.
you want a 5-year, but we need at least 3 years, for
Yeah.
218. So what I would recommend, and I did ask Pace this, before I left, we could get a CIP in short order, because you just need engineer estimates.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
And
That's
so,
good to
and so
know.
as long as you know the limitations of your work and the scope of your
identify the
work,
needs.
you can do that. It gets a little bit more complicated when you start asking for a lot of things like a base bid and 3 alternates. Then you want to have the project fee for, the whole thing. And then if it comes in less, you still apply that same project fee to, the project.
Yeah.
Okay,
But it can be done. I don't want to speak for Pace, but I would push for 30 days.
oh, okay, that's good news.
Sure.
Any questions from the floor?
What's that gonna cost from Pace though?
For the CIP, I don't think that would be, maybe minimal, not even 5.
Nothing from Pace has been 5.
No, 'cause, the way they were explaining it to me before was that they were just gonna get us a 3-year plan, so they could help with that.
Yeah.
So we should double check.
Yes,
But
definitely.
it is just a
If we
planning
can
document.
get that.
It's only a spreadsheet with some descriptors. So it's a title, it's a project title and a descriptor and an engineer's estimate. And so
There you
you'll
go.
need quantities. So when you're talking about environmental and things, you want to have quantities, so they'll be able to do that. It's minimal.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
This has been needed for a while.
Okay, we are on to general manager's report.
Correct. All right. So operations update. District operations remain stable and reliable. All water treatment and distribution systems are functioning well with no major incidents or outages reported this period. Preventative maintenance schedules are on track, and emergency response protocols continue to ensure quick resolution of any minor issues. Staff continue to make excellent progress. The team is highly engaged with ongoing cross-training and professional development efforts paying dividends in efficiency and morale. Employees are demonstrating strong commitment to our mission of providing high-quality water services to the community. Welcome. Grants and funding, we just, Jim went over that, but I've been working with Jim quite a bit and collaborating and getting several pending and potential applications going. We anticipate submitting or advancing at least 2 or 3 proposals in the next coming months. Financial and administrative improvements. I've been working closely with our bookkeeper. We have made significant strides in enhancing financial accuracy and reconciliation processes. This includes streamlining monthly procedures, improving reporting consistency, and identifying opportunities for greater efficiency. As part of our ongoing optimization efforts, I have begun exploring outsourcing options, as Jim was saying, for select administrative and support tasks, bookkeeping being the main function, or specialized reporting. Initial evaluations are underway to assess cost savings, quality control, and potential vendor partnerships, with recommendations to follow in future reports. Kind of a quick update with our Centerville contract. We have that going on. Or did you want to talk about that later?
We can talk about, you can,
Okay.
yeah.
I just wanted to say we've made solid progress with Centerville on our contract negotiations and reconciliation. Discussions are advancing positively, with key terms aligned and remaining items on a clear path to resolution. This will help strengthen our inter-district relationship and ensure smooth ongoing collaboration. In the total summary, overall, the district's in a strong position, operations are solid, staff is performing well, and we are making proactive advances in grants, finances, and key contracts. And that's it for my general manager's summary. Any questions? If not, I'll move on to the ops report.
Okay, we'll bring it up at the end.
Did you have a question?
No, we'll bring
Okay.
that later.
Moving on to the ops report. Administration, there are 184 accounts that are 121 plus days delinquent, totaling $61,065. There are 74 accounts that are 90 to 120 days delinquent, totaling $1,222. There are 132 accounts that are 60 to 90 days delinquent, totaling $6,117. There are 356 accounts that are 30 to 60 days delinquent, totaling $21,947. Aging 121 plus days, there's 189 accounts. For January, 62,871. For February, there's 184, totaling 61,065, with 5 accounts difference and a negative of 1,806. 90 to 120 days, there's 76 accounts totaling $4,134. For January, February, 74 accounts, 1,222, with a difference of minus 2 accounts, minus $2,912. 60 to 90 days, 201 accounts for January, $10,885. For February, 132 accounts, $6,117, with a difference of minus 69 accounts and a total of $4,768. 30 to 60 days, 341 accounts. For January, $23,830. February, 356 accounts, totaling $21,947, with a positive of 15 accounts, minus a difference of 1,883. Totals for January, 807 accounts of $101,720. February, 746 accounts of $90,351, for a difference of minus 63 accounts and minus $11,369.
So what do you attribute that to?
What do you attribute that to?
I just say our consistency is the biggest thing. You know, they weren't doing delinquent notices or following up or even doing shut-offs half the time. So,
Consistency.
yeah, just since I've been here, you know, we follow the 10 days, then you get the letter, then you get this. And also my biggest thing is the customer service part. You know, there's consistency, but you still have to be nice and considerate of customers. Just threatening them doesn't work. So I try really hard to actually have real conversations and help them, set them up payment plans, things like that.
It's a very positive trend. I mean,
Yep.
it was in sad shape there for a while.
It was pretty scary.
Yeah.
It still is.
Well, you look at the 132 accounts from 60 to 90, so that's impressive, so.
Mhm.
Exactly, 69 accounts. Yeah, and, admin's been doing great with customer service and. Go ahead.
Question,
Sure.
there was a state program called LEWAP that helped people, they could originally apply. I'm wondering if the state has done another program like that yet. We had, Paul Kelly look into that at one point, and
Okay,
we collected something in the range of $110,000 to $120,000. Of course, that was COVID related, but, they do periodically have programs like that.
okay,
We would have to have them apply individually, and then if there is one, they would send money directly to us and we make the adjustments to the accounts.
okay, I'll
And
look
notify
into
the
that.
customer.
You know anything about it?
Yeah, I track that. So currently, the only one I found that's active is called CAP, and we don't fall under it, our agency, but I do track it monthly.
As a disadvantaged district, I was hoping we would find something.
Yeah, because I'd love to just
That'd be
let our
great,
customers
yeah.
do that.
Right?
Help them get under it.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to water treatment plant operations. The treatment plant produced 158 acre feet of surface water. Clear Creek used 107 acre feet of surface water in January, totaling, or 2,746 acre feet total surface water for the water year 25-26.
Is that a combination between us and Centerville then?
Yes. I'm not sure why Centerville's not here, but yes.
It's just the
Or is that
difference
just
though
our
of what they
difference?
produce and what we use.
We had in our original estimate about 28 or 2,900 acre feet we would be using over the water year, and we're coming up near the end. We got
Yeah.
a few days left.
Right.
So I was curious as to whether that was all inclusive of both districts or just us.
That's, this is both.
Okay.
Well water production, 0, we didn't use any wells. This is the report from the treatment plant. Staff has been busy with routine maintenance, monitoring, and operations of the water treatment plant. The water treatment plant is currently producing 2 million gallons of water a day. Treatment and distribution staff replaced and installed an instrument pump in the chlorine building vault. The new pump replaced an old instrument pump that died. Service 2 drip legs for the vacuum regulator assemblies that mount onto the chlorine ton tanks. Replaced 1 vacuum regulator assembly and sent it to Telstar with other chlorine equipment to be serviced. Pace and Bullard worked on and completed the Pond 2 radar level transmitter so that the treatment plant can now see the Pond 2 level. The work on Pond 2 is now complete. Staff are preparing to switch over lines dependent on weather for an annual warranty inspection for Pond 3. Reviewed and submitted the hazardous material business plan, inspected and superchlorinated train number 6. An electric actuator for train 4, filter to waste, has died, and now staff will be manually backwashing and adjusting chemicals during the filter to waste cycle as the PLC cannot see the valve position and does not register flow for chemicals. Train number 4 will be put offline until the actuator is replaced unless needed. A BEC actuator is on order to replace it. The failed actuator is 2 to 3 months out for delivery.
Okay.
And we can produce enough water, more than enough, I should say. So we're okay without train number 4 right now. Filter influent valve on train number 6 failed during the post-inspection backwash. The actuator was manually put back to open. Staff will have to be on site for the next backwash cycle to see if this valve fails again. The train cannot filter to waste and be put back online after a backwash unless an operator is there to do it manually. Any questions on the treatment?
Dale, when
Yeah.
when the trains are operational, how frequently are they backwashing?
These ones, I'm not 100% sure to tell you. It just depends on how much water we're producing. At 2 million gallons, I'm estimating, every hour, I guess, maybe?
Okay.
Every couple hours? It just depends. I haven't been up there when they've done filter to waste and backwashing, so. On these ones.
Wasn't there some good news on train 6 though?
Oh, yeah, train 6 was potentially our bad train / filter. During the inspection of train 6, they noticed that there was not that much sand and whatnot in the under drain, which is a good sign showing that it's not getting through. So it's operating better than we expected.
So the life of it could be extended out.
Yes, so it's not as critical as we once thought.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Distribution, meter register installation. Installation of the remaining 3-inch and 4-inch registers for our meters has been completed. This continues to reduce the size of our manual read route. Both automated and manual reading will begin next week, and all meters have been successfully integrated into the appropriate software programs. We look forward to evaluating the performance of the updated system. Hydrant flushing and system pressure monitoring. Hydrant flushing and system-wide pressure checks are ongoing. All activities are being documented and crews are continuing this work as time allows. Coordination with TDS fiber installation crews. Staff met with the TDS crews working on the installation of new fiber optic infrastructure. Many of the areas under construction contain water mains and service line connections. Maintaining close coordination throughout their project is essential to help prevent accidental water line damage. Customer shut-off notifications. A total of 62 shut-off notifications were issued to customers. Of those, 13 accounts required actual shut-off. Only one customer from the original list remains disconnected currently. So they all paid up to date.
Question.
Sure.
Along those lines, can you give us an idea of how many customers we currently have payment plans on?
Do you know how many payment plans we have?
Mm-hmm. I ran that report just last week.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And?
Mm. I don't remember.
I
I
don't
want
know
to say
that
it was
number.
like
That's fine.
mid-hundreds is what my brain wants to go to.
Okay. Yeah.
Question I
Didn't realize it
have
was that
is,
much.
we had a break recently, or a leak, not a break, but a leak that we
Are-
fixed?
Yeah, that showed up in time cards.
Yeah, we saw it when we were doing payroll, that there was a leak somewhere. Morgan went out and some other employee
Yeah.
went out.
It might have been a service line, something minor. It wasn't a main line. It wasn't a major leak.
Okay.
Because if it was a major break, I would have known about it.
Yeah,
I
it didn't
can't-
cost
It's not
much.
yeah, it would have caused major disruptions, and that's not. We didn't have anything like this month or last.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything else?
How many manual read meters do we have left at this point?
Do you know that answer? The exact amount?
Is it like 43?
43.
Let's see, 43?
Yeah, I think it's 43, but when I first got here, I think it was a lot more. they've transitioned. I don't know when Jim was interim how many was there, but from what I gather, it was a stack, that being hundreds, and now it's down to
So
43.
we're getting close.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The bigger ones, all the 4-inch and 3-inch have been done the last few months. So the 6-inch, we just have other.
You got on to Sandy's property?
Who is Sandy?
Winters?
Sandy Winters, yeah.
She puts a tractor over her meter.
Oh, does she? Well, when they go there, I want to go with them, so.
So you did complete all of the floors, including Sandy's and mine. Well, no, Sandy's a 2-inch now. She was switched out under Skip to a 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. there might
Everyone
be a
that they
couple.
could do.
They did, yes.
And so now it's kind of a
Okay.
waiting on.
Because mine's right almost on the road. I mean, you're looking at 6 feet off the road. To
They
do that,
said
they
that
almost have
some of
to.
them, they can't replace
Yes.
one piece, they have to rip the whole thing out, and so those obviously are waiting.
I think some of them have to replace the whole
The
meter.
whole, yeah.
Oh, I have a nice triple leak by that doesn't get registered.
Any
Oh,
questions
look at
from the
that.
floor on the reports?
No, but I'm gonna do your CIP, I'm gonna do all the heavy lifting, and then we're gonna give it to Pace to put in the engineer's estimates.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank
So
you.
that'll be very minimal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got all the criteria I need to make it.
Oh,
Okay.
wow, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking,
It won't be
maybe
hard.
I was thinking master plan.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
5-year master.
It's, you'll have everything, it'd be totally defensible and alignment with compliance, it's really not that hard.
Okay.
But Pace will have very light work to do.
Nice.
Thank you. All right, moving on, we're to our standing committees and ad hoc committees. Ag committee.
We didn't have a meeting. We're going to have.
Yes, I wanted to
Go
discuss
ahead.
with you. We want to have the initial meeting for the farmer's market, probably fourth week of March, since I'm going to be out of town for part of March. So the week of the 23rd, my calendar looks good.
Yeah, I'll commit to whatever day you pick on that at this point. I don't think I have anything on my calendar, so we want to do Wednesday. What have we done
I'm okay with
historically?
that. We'd have to do it at 6 or so.
Okay,
So you want to do it on the 25th then?
yep, at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Of this month, right?
March.
Yeah.
Of March.
Oh, of March.
Of March.
Yeah, of March.
Okay.
That way you can get it into the newsletter. with
At
the next
6?
billing. At 6 p.m., yeah.
March 25th at 6.
Right.
Okay.
And maybe we can get that on the school marquee also,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Because they're gonna be discussing the farmer's market.
Right, it'll be designed specifically for the farmer's market.
Just to clarify, the Firewise was February 26th?
Yes, next Thursday, a week from tomorrow,
Okay.
at 6 o'clock at the community center. Harry will open the door.
Finance committee, so we were supposed to meet, after the last board meeting, but things weren't, straightened out the way we'd like, and so we met again this morning at 10 and, went through the mid-year, and pretty much, there was a couple of items that still needed clarification on things. Any other comments from you on that?
Yeah, we still have to deal with a couple of items that you mentioned, transparency in our financials.
Mhm.
We still have a few things that are popping up that need to be corrected. We talked about possibly creating some other account numbers. We had some insurance payments come in, and they didn't show where they were credited in as revenue, but we had the expense where we then paid for the work. So there's things like that we're still trying to clean up. We need to get the car fire, 160,000 off as an expense, because it wasn't an expense, it was a reimbursement back to the insurance carrier. And I'm still hoping that we figure out a way to take the grant monies off of the monthly P&Ls, because it throws the actual balances off. And
Yeah.
I'm ending up doing the math to figure things out.
Yep.
So,
It's smart, yeah. There's a picture.
And, okay, planning and steering did not meet.
but I want to discuss that quickly with both members who are here. With you working on that, do we want to hold a planning and steering and meet with Jim on the CIP?
I was thinking so, but
Okay, so we should schedule that. I'm not available from the 11th of March through the 17th. I'm out of town. But after that, I'm available. And it is a piece we need to get done for the Prop 218.
But it sounds like he's gonna get right on it, so.
Yeah,
Right.
I would like to meet with Dale Friday if possible, and then give you something Sunday night.
See?
That's
Okay.
literally how
So
fast
if you want to try,
that's how fast I want to
if
move
you want
for
to
you
try and
guys.
meet next week on this,
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
it'll
we
be a
could.
draft.
okay.
I'm gonna take a look
I
at
have
my
availability.
calendar. I have about a dozen things on my plate right now.
And to be clear, I'll plug in my estimates, but
Right.
I really think Pace should be putting the current bid items and quantities and things.
We're gonna wanna take a good look at priorities too, okay? And start developing that 1-year priorities and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yep.
And then take a look at USDA, because if we can get into them, and I know it may take a while,
Yeah.
but they are one of the ones I think will be able to help us.
Yeah, and they
agree.
have the forgiveness kind of loans too,
Well, yeah.
and depending.
And I wanted to ask you about, there was something in your presentation of, where was it? Sorry, I'm having to flip through some pages.
Yeah, the packet had more details, you know. Tried to,
Issuing debt. A little concerned about issuing debt. I know in the past there's been some for a very specific project on a street, but are we talking about something that ends up on someone's property tax roll?
no.
Okay, I'm just trying to clarify it.
Yeah, let me see if I can put together, because that's part of the packet. Let me see what my, my line of thinking was for that, and I'll have it when we talk with finance steering.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So you're gonna check your schedule for next week and let me know.
Let's take a look calendar. If you have this stuff by Sunday, you tell me, are you free?
I'm free. I just
We have to work around your work schedule.
I'm free in the afternoon or evening for this specifically. So
Okay,
Yeah.
tell me what day is good for you.
if we want to do the 23rd, if we think we're going to be ready by Monday the 23rd, we can do the 23rd.
Okay, there's gonna be a problem because he has to post no, it's ad hoc though.
It's in that.
No, it's planning and
Oh,
steering.
it is planning and
You
steering.
have to
Fair enough.
post it.
Post an agenda.
Yeah.
Because I would like
Just
to,
on
he
Friday.
has- He has,
I already emailed Garrett, just so you know, just to kind of get
Oh,
that started. Just
Thursday,
if he
Friday,
were to do
Saturday,
it,
Sunday.
then
If,
Yeah.
follow up would be
Post it
when
tomorrow.
can
you won't get
get
the
some number
report
back.
though until the day.
no, but we don't. need the
What
first
about
week.
Thursday?
We could, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I wasn't sure if this was, we wanted to be as,
Well, that's your
26th.
Firewise, if anybody was gonna go to Firewise.
Oh, that's right. So we could do Wednesday, Thursday,
we could
or
do Wednesday.
Friday.
But except if you're available in the afternoon, we could do, and Jim, same thing.
Yeah.
We could do the afternoon.
Oh, right,
And then
right.
still have fireworks.
Yeah, I'll be available.
Okay, so if we want to do Thursday in the afternoon, that's fine. I'll let my boss know and I'll be here.
Okay, so planning steering
What
is
time?
Thursday, 26th.
26th. Yep.
What exact time?
2?
2 o'clock sounds great.
Okay.
I agree.
This will be
Okay.
the first planning and steering in over 2 years.
Yes.
Personnel Committee, my cohort has been out of commission, so we have not met. Centerville Contract Ad Hoc Committee, we're meeting every month, the first Monday of the month. And so we had a meeting and we had a couple of things that, that's on the table is that during the drought that we had, when we were allocated 0 water, Centerville got all of theirs. And so they were charged 97, 98% of all of the expenses, which is not necessarily accurate because we've got employees that would still be working regardless. And so there has to be a different method in how we charge them. And so that was one thing that we're kind of working on is how how to make it fair and equitable, that they're not overcharged if we ever come into a drought situation again. The other thing is that there was a grant, or was it part of the SCADA grant? The first aspect of it was, of the project included, I don't even know what that darn piece of, the visual, they want us to pay $5,000 for.
We pay our share of it.
So there was because of the fire, right? It was
Right.
because of the fire that happened, the Cloverdale fire, I guess is what they were calling it. It fried all the SCADA instrumentation and conduit and whatnot, so you couldn't see the level. So we got the refund, the grant or refund, and it covered our portion of it so that we could see, the levels on the SCADA and whatnot, but it didn't cover Centerville's. So it's an additional $5,000 to implement their side of it, so they have a view of what's going on in our tank levels. But that wasn't part of, that would be an extra expense. So they're asking us to foot 75% of it, and they pay 25% of it per the current contract.
But it's only for them?
Yeah.
Yes.
But it
See,
was,
that's
it
the
was that
sticky
way
point.
before the fire.
But it was that way before the
It was
fire.
before the fire.
Now,
But
was
the
that
fire-
an insurance claim or a grant?
I think it's an
Yeah.
insurance claim.
We couldn't find an insurance claim.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
That's what, yeah, we were looking into it, but we couldn't find anything.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's
maybe
the
too
way it
late
is.
to make a claim on it,
Yeah.
since it was what, 20?
It was like
2018,
2018,
yeah.
yeah.
So essentially, they want us to pay 75% of the added $5,000 so they can have a view of
3750.
75% of 5,000. What?
3750.
3750 is what they're asking us to pay so that they can see the levels in the tank at their SCADA system.
So what do you think about that?
That's how it was before the fire, but it
Yeah,
wasn't.
that's
So hang on, so
sticky.
you say that's how it was before the fire?
Right.
The program existed where they could see the tank levels?
Yes,
Is there a benefit for them seeing the tank levels? What tank
Listen.
levels what tanks are we
The
talking?
million gallon.
the million gallon tank.
At Cloverdale?
Yes.
No, at the water treatment.
At the treatment plant.
Okay, all right.
Just
All right,
down.
that tracks.
Yes.
I think it allows them to know how much water they can pull. Or something
It
like
does
that?
to a degree, so they can assume, the tank's at 75% or 12 feet or whatever, so we could realistically pull this amount.
So will that prevent the surging that we saw in the Centerville system at different intervals this spring?
You mean those open valves all of a sudden?
Yeah, exactly. You weren't here for that.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a little bit of a.
You mean it as far as like water hammer on our end?
No.
No,
Then yeah, I'm not sure.
no, it's okay. I shouldn't have.
No. This is a valid point.
Sure.
Well, I think what happened was that we were shutting down. Is that what you mean, for some reason?
No, Centerville was logging very large amounts of usage this past spring and summer at
Couple of times.
different intervals. And it didn't sound like it was tied to a breakage or anything like that. So that was more so what I was alluding to, when they can verify what the
And
tank
it
levels are.
didn't
so they
cause
can-
an alarm on the tank.
It did, yeah.
So, and they had to respond to the alarm, and it all went to Centerville.
Yes, that big surge went out.
So that potentially could be prevented it could have been happening because they didn't know what the level was and they just pulled a bunch of water.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do have a view of it, it would make it so that their case was less strong
Mhm.
if that happened. Because it'd be like, well, you knew there was 10 feet in there, why'd you pull 12 or what have you?
Right.
So we need to put that on the agenda to vote because it should have been on this one.
Okay.
Yes.
So put it on for next time so that we can vote on it.
I suppose it's a gesture of goodwill for our friends at Centerville
Yep.
that we do that.
So I would talk to treatment about it, because that tank only has like 12 feet of freeboard. Like they can't pull below 18 feet or they're under pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think they know that. It's essentially, they just want to be able to see the level, is what Chris was saying to me.
It's kind of pointless for them to see it.
Right, and it's, I
Oh,
mean.
but if they do see it, then wouldn't that mean that they know that they can't pull anymore?
You would think, yes. That's how a treatment operator would see it, yeah.
So is there any other,
any advantage to us?
well, I want to know, is there any reason other than that they want to see it? Is there any ulterior
Ulterior motive.
motive?
Yeah, I guess if you wanted to go, exhaust all options and consider anything, they essentially see how much is in there and pull as much as they wanted, knowing that it was surplus. You know what I mean?
Does it impact us adversely by them knowing that? I mean, if they know that, oh, look, I can pull all of this.
No, because it's metered, so that would still be charged anyways, and there's fail safes within the system. That they
Okay.
couldn't.
But I mean, they can't pull more than what we would need. It won't adversely affect.
It depends on the pressure levels. If they use that tank for certain pressures and it has to be at say 18 feet or whatever it is, and they pulled it below, it could drop the pressure in our distribution system at some point and cause some sort of failure.
Okay. Okay, and how do
They
you?
can already do that.
Yeah,
Without
I mean, there
it,
needs
so.
to be some kind of a fail-safe.
So if they did get this, they would have a harder time doing something that would cause that, because they can see it,
Yeah.
I mean,
They've
everybody
got
makes
no,
mistakes.
so they've got no excuse
Exactly.
for screwing up.
Right.
Okay,
Now, when we were talking about that, we were led to believe that Centerville had 2 turnouts, and that the impression I was receiving at the time when we were told about this was that this water wasn't being accounted for as Centerville drawing it. And so I was kind of wondering, was there
That was a
a meter that
speculation.
wasn't functioning and they just kind of opened the valve and let it flow? I'm not saying they did anything wrong. I'm trying to understand.
From all the facts that I gathered, I think that was speculation, that more water was being pulled that was accounted for. But I don't see any, unless I see something where there's, as far as everything that I've seen and as far as facts-wise, I don't think that was happening.
All right.
any questions from the floor on this? Okay. Prop 218 Advisory Committee.
We're having our first meeting tomorrow night here at 6:30 p.m. Most of us are already here, so we've kind of gotten a preview of some of the things we'll be discussing. But we've got an agenda posted on the website if you want to look it up. There are copies here. And we're going to start the process. And hopefully we'll get additional information. There'll be a lot of information we'll need to do this properly, to generate the justification for the rates and whatnot. So expect to spend an hour and a half at least talking about various aspects.
Anything else for you? Nothing for me, for you guys?
No.
Anything from the floor? Well, it is.
What is the 218 again?
Prop 218, that's rate structure study.
Right.
You can do it no more, after 5 years, you have to do it again, or you can do it more often. We'll be discussing whether we want to do that in shorter increments to be more timely in adjusting rates.
So Prop 218 isn't necessarily a study, it's a law. That was passed in 1996 so it's a state law, so that you can't just willy-nilly increase the water fees without having customer approval on it.
And so where does the water district, what's their advantage or involvement in that discussion?
We will have to come up with what we project to be the proper rates to cover the operations of the water district based on historical data, projected increases in costs for things, the need to do capital improvement projects, things like that. We will gather all that information together. When we're confident it's pretty solid, we will put that information out available for the public at least 45 days before a public hearing. And then we will come to a public hearing, let anybody come and challenge our facts and figures, ask questions all they want.
So that would allow for some offset or some.
Well, public input, absolutely. But if we do our due diligence properly, it should be very transparent. This is where we are, and this is what it's going to cost to move forward.
Okay. It is now 7:30, meeting is
Any
adjourned.
number 10, no? Board items?
Oh, board items.
I think we just did.
Oh, yeah, I asked everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're not on the board, no.
7:30, meeting adjourned.